The 911 operator heard her die. But police found no body. Rachel Grayson had handled hundreds of emergency calls before. People screaming. Car crashes. Break-ins. Suicides. But the call that came in at 1:14 a.m. on February 9th was the only one that still made her afraid to answer her own phone. The recording began with breathing. Fast. Uneven. Wet like someone trying not to cry. Rachel adjusted her headset. 911, what's your emergency? For 3 seconds, nobody answered. Then a whisper. He's inside my house. Rachel immediately straightened in her chair. The dispatch room around her suddenly faded into background noise. Ma'am, what's your address? A shaky breath crackled through the speaker. I think he came in through the back door. Somewhere in the distance of the call, wood creaked softly. Rachel's eyes lifted toward the digital clock above the monitors. 1:14 a.m. Ma'am, I need your address right now. The woman whispered it so quietly Rachel almost missed it. A farmhouse outside Willow Creek, Montana. Isolated. Miles from the nearest neighbor. Rachel typed quickly and dispatched officers immediately. Okay. Police are on the way. Stay on the line with me. Another creak echoed through the phone. Closer this time. Rachel lowered her voice instinctively. Are you hiding? Yes. Where? In the laundry room. The woman sounded young. Mid-20s maybe. Her breathing kept shaking like she was freezing. Rachel glanced at the weather report on another monitor. -6 degrees outside. Do you know who's in the house? Silence. Then, no. A loud thud exploded through the call. The woman gasped sharply. Rachel jumped in her chair. Ma'am? Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Not running. Walking. The sound sent chills up Rachel's spine because whoever was inside that house didn't sound rushed. They sounded calm. The woman began crying quietly. Oh my God! Rachel kept her voice steady even though her hands were sweating. Listen to me carefully. Officers are less than 5 minutes away. Stay hidden. Do not make noise. Another creak. Then something stranger. A second breath. Not the callers. A man breathing somewhere near the phone. Rachel froze. The woman heard it too. Her whisper became barely audible. He found me. The line suddenly crackled violently. A loud bang shook through the speaker like a door slamming open. Then screaming. One sharp scream. Abruptly cut off. Something hit the floor. Silence. Rachel shouted into her headset. Ma'am? Ma'am! Nothing. Only static. Then the call disconnected. The dispatch room around Rachel suddenly felt ice cold. Officers arrived at the farmhouse 4 minutes later. They found the front door unlocked. Lights still on. A half-drunk cup of tea sitting on the kitchen table. But no woman. No intruder. No signs of forced entry. Nothing. The laundry room door was slightly open. Inside, they found a phone lying on the floor with the screen cracked. Still connected to 911. Rachel listened to the officers over radio, while staring at the waveform frozen across her monitor. One of the deputies sounded confused. There's nobody here. Another officer spoke seconds later. House looks lived in, but we can't find the homeowner. Rachel rubbed her arms. Check the basement. Static answered first. Then, there is no basement. The case should have ended there. Missing person. Possibly fled the scene. But 2 things made Rachel unable to let it go. First, the homeowner didn't officially exist. The name attached to the property had belonged to a woman who died 11 years earlier. Second, the audio recording. At first, everyone focused on the scream. But Rachel noticed something else. Just before the woman whispered, "He found me," another voice could barely be heard under the static. A man's voice. Very low. Very calm. Standing close enough to the phone to whisper directly into it. Rachel replayed the enhanced audio over and over that night after her shift ended. At 3:42 a.m., she finally heard the words clearly. "She's not alone." Rachel stopped breathing. The voice wasn't talking to the caller. It was talking to someone else. As if another person was inside the house too. The next morning, police searched the property again. Snow covered the fields around the farmhouse untouched except for one set of footprints leading toward the woods. Only one. Not two. And they abruptly stopped 30 yards from the trees. Like whoever made them had simply vanished. News of the recording spread fast online after someone inside Dispatch leaked part of the audio anonymously. Within days, conspiracy forums exploded with theories. Kidnapping. Murder. Staged disappearance. Paranormal encounter. But Rachel couldn't shake one detail nobody else noticed. Near the end of the recording, right before the scream, the woman suddenly stopped crying. For half a second, her voice changed completely. Like she recognized whoever found her. 3 nights later, Rachel was working another overnight shift when her monitor lit up again. Incoming 911 call. Her stomach tightened instantly. Same number. Same farmhouse. Rachel answered carefully. 911, what's your emergency? Static filled the line. Then came weak breathing. A woman whispered softly. He said you'd never find me. Rachel's blood turned cold. Because this time, the caller sounded much farther away. Like she was underground. Rachel nearly dropped her headset. Ma'am? Can you hear me? The weak breathing continued. Somewhere in the background, metal scraped slowly against concrete. The sound echoed. Underground. Rachel motioned urgently toward the tracing technician across the dispatch room. He immediately began tracking the call. Please, Rachel said softly, forcing herself to stay calm. Tell me your name. Silence. Then the woman whispered. He watches when I talk. A chill spread through Rachel's chest. Who watches you? The line crackled violently for a second. Rachel thought the call had dropped. Then she heard it. Breathing. Not the woman's. A second person was standing nearby again. Slow. Controlled. Listening. Rachel's fingers tightened around the desk. Are you hurt? The woman ignored the question. You heard him that night. Rachel swallowed hard. Yes. Another metallic scrape echoed faintly. Then came a terrifying sound. A door opening somewhere nearby. The woman suddenly began whispering faster. He keeps moving me. Rachel sat forward immediately. Who does? I don't know his name. The tracing technician looked over at Rachel with confusion. He mouthed 2 words silently. No location. Rachel's stomach dropped. How is that possible? She whispered back. The technician shook his head. The signal kept bouncing between dead towers like the call was moving constantly. But the woman's voice didn't sound like she was moving. She sounded trapped. Rachel lowered her voice again. Listen to me carefully. We're going to find you. The woman gave a weak laugh. No, you won't. Something slammed loudly in the background. The woman gasped. Heavy footsteps approached the phone. Closer. Closer. Rachel's pulse hammered. Then the line went dead. The dispatch room sat silent for almost 3 seconds before everyone started talking at once. Rachel barely heard them. Her eyes stayed locked on the disconnected number glowing across her monitor. Same phone. Same farmhouse. But impossible. Police had taken that phone into evidence days ago. By sunrise, Rachel was sitting inside Sheriff Donnelly's office watching enhanced audio specialists review both recordings. The old sheriff looked exhausted. You leaked this online? He asked. Rachel shook her head immediately. I didn't. Donnelly sighed and rubbed his face. Half the country thinks we covered up a murder. On the monitor, the technician replayed the newest recording. He keeps moving me. Then the audio distorted sharply. The technician paused the waveform. There, he said quietly. Rachel leaned closer. Under the woman's whisper was another sound hidden deep beneath the static. A faint rhythmic clanging. The sheriff frowned. What is that? The technician enhanced the frequency slowly. Clang. 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 Rachel's face slowly lost color. I know that sound. Both men looked at her. That's a chain pulley. The room went quiet. Rachel explained carefully. Her father owned an old repair garage when she was growing up. The rusty basement elevator used the exact same chain system. An underground freight lift. Sheriff Donnelly immediately ordered another search around the farmhouse property. This time they focused on the surrounding land. Hours passed. Nothing. No hidden cellar. No bunker. No underground structure. By evening, snowfall covered the entire property again. The search teams began packing equipment away when Deputy Marcus Reed noticed something strange near the woods. A metal pipe sticking barely above the snow. Old. Rust-covered. Almost hidden completely. Workers started digging around it. Less than 10 minutes later, one of them shouted, "Hold on!" The ground collapsed beneath him. Rachel arrived just as floodlights illuminated the hole. It wasn't a basement. It was a shaft. A narrow vertical tunnel descending into darkness. Cold air drifted upward carrying the smell of wet concrete and something older underneath. Something rotten. Deputy Reed climbed down first with 2 officers behind him. Rachel stood near the edge listening to their radio chatter through static. At first, nobody spoke. Then came Reed's voice. "You need to see this." The tunnel led into a hidden underground room stretching beneath the woods. Concrete walls. Rusty pipes. Old electrical wiring hanging from the ceiling. And dozens of photographs taped across the walls. Women. Different ages. Different years. Every single one photographed sleeping through windows. Inside homes. Some pictures looked decades old. Rachel covered her mouth slowly. Then Reed's flashlight landed on the far corner of the room. A chair. Bolted to the floor. Beside it sat an old cassette recorder still blinking with power. One of the officers pressed play. Static filled the room. Then Rachel heard her own voice. 911, what's your emergency? Everyone froze. The kidnapper had been recording the calls. Listening to them repeatedly. Obsessing over them. But that wasn't the worst part. Deputy Reed suddenly called out from deeper inside the bunker. "Sheriff!" His voice sounded wrong. Shaky. Terrified. Rachel moved closer to the radio. "What is it?" No answer came for several seconds. Then Reed whispered. "There's another tunnel." The flashlight beams shifted deeper underground. A narrow hallway disappeared into complete darkness beneath the forest. And from somewhere far inside it came the sound of a woman crying softly.